Unless that's Lou. Oh, they must be.
Getting it. Hello.
Do we sign in?
You're already on, Victor.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, this is John Egan. I'm signing in.
Okay, Kathy will be taking roll, so hang on until Kathy gets back.
Okay, when she comes back, would you sign me in?
She will, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. Oh, my dogs are going to bark here.
Hi, Marianne and Robert.
Hey, Dick.
Hey, I may have to break away for a little bit. I've got a guy coming to buy a tool that I'm trying to sell, so I'll be right back if he shows up.
Hey.
Thank you. I'll mute myself.
No, I muted myself because Dave just got home and the dogs are going to start to bark any minute.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
My Bluetooth doesn't seem to be working. Does anybody know how I can turn it on?
Robert,
No.
can you help him with no?
I'm not good with Bluetooth. I mean, try turning it off, turning it back on.
You have to pair it with your computer?
Yes. I'll turn it back off and see what happens when I turn it on.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
We hear you.
Gotcha.
All right. We're ready to get started.
You
Jeff?
got Kat?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Yeah, ready.
Where's, oh, there she is. All right, Kat, do your roll call.
You don't need to do roll call. Just
No?
as long as I'm renaming everyone. The only person I don't know is 404-413. I'm gonna look on the website right now. But other than that, she can take roll.
Off the names on the top.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Jeff can get us started.
Unless that's John Roberts.
Hi, everyone. How are we? Welcome.
Good. How are you, Jeff?
Glad to see everyone. Right, tonight is primarily about instruction, but before we get into instruction, Robert's going to go over a few things, and then we're going to give it to Marianne, and then to Tony Chan, and then after that, I will take over for instruction for the remainder of the meeting. So, welcome to all. Okay, Robert, back to you.
Okay, so this is one of 3 Zoom meetings that we'll be hosting. And this one's mostly introductory. We're going to go over some rules, and I'm going to introduce some of the key players here. So I'm Robert. I'm the president. I'm the person that emails all of you way too much. And on my screen, she's to my left. That's Marianne. She's a treasurer. She'll handle all of your money, and she'll handle anything else. Jeff is our instructional chair.
Jesus Christ.
All right, you're muted, Jim. And then Kathy is our secretary. Kathy, give us a wave. And then if I can find Tony Gazzara. can't find him right now. There he is. He's our new vice president. And then our members at large are Tim Mays, Mike Lormer, and Roy Vincent. And then our assigner is Tony Chan. Tony, give a wave. All right. That's all I have for introduction. And passing it back to Jeff.
All right. Marianne is going to talk about insurance, dues, all of that sort of fun stuff for everyone.
Hi, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Marianne Chinthveni. I am your treasurer. This year, our dues will be going down. It's usually 190. It'll be 135, which will include the amount that needs to go to SCVOA for the administration fees that they have, and $90 to run the unit. You're purchasing your own insurance through the NFHS, which comes to $28.29. And once you get done with the procedure, Dragonfly, I know several of you have done this, so it's just a repeat. Dragonfly will send you a receipt saying Dragonfly receipt, forward that to me. So that way I could put it in my file. So when I make up the roster to send to SCVOA, I can put down what insurance you have, and I have the proof when they ask if they need it. Okay. And then if you want to put down your $50 assigner deposit, then the full total will be $185. Okay. If you need help with getting the insurance, please go ahead and reach out to me. I have now 2 accounts with them. I've only paid on 1, but I have 2 accounts from helping other people set up that I can go back in there and try to walk you through what's needed. I would highly suggest that no mistakes are made. So please put in your correct birth date, your zip code, your telephone number, and everything else, because it does link to your credit card information. And if it's incorrect, the process won't go through. Then it gets into a stuck mode, and then we have to literally back out of it and go physically back into it. So that's what's going on with your dues. There are no books to be handed out this year. I know that is really bad for the new people because you guys don't have anything, but you are able to get a digital form of it on the website, the NFHS website. It comes with your insurance fees. So you are able to download a digital copy of the rule book. Next year, there will be the option of having a physical copy or a digital copy. You can let me know which ones you want. And if you want a physical, which I like personally a physical, then you can go ahead and order with me next year and we'll get them to you then. Let's see, anything else?
I was just gonna add that when you do order the insurance and you make your account with NFHS, there is an online rule book that anyone can use that you can download it onto your phone. It
comes with your fees. So.
And if you're in more of a rush, you can buy an online rule book for $7. If you go to the Federation site, it will give you that option, and you buy it through Amazon, and it's a Kindle book. I actually did that today. So
yeah, another one that's on your phone. Yes. My phone's too small for me to try to read through that, but I like a physical copy. So that will be an option. It isn't mandatory anymore. It will be an option next year. So anything else I need to go over? Did I cover everything?
I think that's unless anybody out there has questions for Marianne, I think that's all I had at the moment.
When you get to the study guide, let me know, because I'm going to give away 2 free answers because you will not find it in your rule book. So.
They might.
No, they won't, because if they have last year's, it's
right. Opposite. I know the change. Well, we're going to be talking about that today, the changes. So
I'll give them 2 free.
All right. We have a new assigner this year. That is Mr. Tony Chan. So I'm going to pass it over to him so he can introduce himself and talk a little bit about.
Is the insurance required?
Yes, John. Insurance is required. You cannot work without insurance.
What is it for? What does it cover?
It's liability insurance, John. So that way, if something was to happen and you or the unit, they wanted to sue because there was a liability issue, you're covered.
Is that a new feature?
No, it has always been a part of our dues, and it is mandatory.
Okay.
You're going to
But
be
it
able
used to be- They're replacing the NASO insurance that you have always paid for. The
Okay.
$70 that was paid for NASO is now being reduced down to the $28.29 through NFHS. So it's the same insurance, just a different carrier.
So for $28, I'm covered, huh?
Yes, you are.
That's amazing.
I hope so.
All right, Tony, up to you.
Oh, good evening, everybody, and hello. My name is Tony Chan. I have been officiating since I started with Channel Coast in 1993. I've been a USA National referee since 1998, and I am also an international beach referee, one of only 5 in our country currently. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of CIF finals and have worked a number of men's Final Fours as well for NC2A. I'm also the assigner for collegiate sand volleyball for UCLA, USC, and Cal State Bakersfield, and have been doing those since beach volleyball began working at the collegiate level. I'm also part of the USA Volleyball Training and Evaluation Commission and the Beach Commission as well. I've had the chance to do a lot of assigning, I guess, over the last 10 years. And I'm honored to have the opportunity to help Channel Coast. I plan on working very closely with the board, the instructional staff, and the rating staff to make sure that we're sending, the best people that we can to help service the schools and you as officials, the folks that are going through this training, putting in the hours, putting in the time. We hope to give you all opportunities to help you grow as officials, as well as service the schools and give them the best that we can as well. We do have an email address that you can reach me at. It's I'll put it in the chat. Karen's not hearing anything. Is anybody else hearing me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Thank you. I'll put that email in the chat so that way you can reach me. And then as well as my cell phone number where you can text me or email me or call me if you need to. I do ask that if you do send me a text, make sure that you put your name in the text so I know who you are when it comes through, because if you're not in my address book, it's just going to show up as a phone number and I'm not going to know who you are. So please do, if you text me, include your name. And obviously a number to reach you at if texting you back is not available. That's about all I have for now. If you guys have any questions, about this coming year's assigning work or any future volleyball endeavors that you might be interested in, please do let me know. I do know that CIF has authorized volleyball, sand volleyball as a high school sport this year. So we're going to have to look at training and assigning for that in the future. So I hope you guys are ready and excited to take on a new sport. That would be something real exciting, especially after this year's Olympic Games. Beach volleyball has a tendency to grow real big around the beach volleyball during the Olympic years. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to have more work and to help grow the sport of volleyball, which I'd like to
start
remind.
in the fall?
No, it'll start in the spring, John.
Spring it with girls or both?
Girls. Right now, it's only a
Girls.
girls' sport that I'm aware of.
So the boys aren't sanctioned, but the girls are.
As far as I know of. I don't know if there are any boys teams out there. I do know that the girls sand volleyball has been playing for a while. They just haven't been an official CIF sport, and they haven't asked us to officiate it. But that changes now. Since
Well, there's quite
sport.
a few boys teams. There's a lot of boys teams.
I don't imagine that they're going to play in the spring though, when boys season is playing.
Right.
So
okay.
And when we hear more, we don't have a lot of definition yet on where and when. We're still getting all that defined from CVOA and CIF. So we'll be sure and pass that information on though. So anybody else have any other questions or comments? I will be trying to, working with the board to put together a survey that we'll be sending out to all of you. That's, you know, going to ask you some basic questions so I can learn a little bit more about you guys, about your experience, whether it's in officiating volleyball or any other sport, whether you played, whether you've, you know, just so I can get a sense of where you are with the game of volleyball itself. Also going to, in part of that survey, we need you to tell us if you have or affiliated with any of the schools in our area, or if you have any kids that are playing in our schools, so we can avoid any possible conflicts of interest with that. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. Throw a hand up. I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, I'm turn it back over to Robert.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Glad to have you on board. So in terms of beach, I do not have a lot of experience with beach. So whatever happens there, we'll be letting you know. And somebody else is going to have to be the instructional chair when it comes to beach. I can tell you that. But yeah, most likely it will be Tony. But I'm looking forward to possibly getting into it and trying it. Let me tell you a little about myself. And actually, Robert, anything else before I go into instruction? Okay. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been officiating for over 30 years, volleyball, high school, USA, college. So I've done that. I've been the instructional chair for what used to be called the Northern Channel Coast. They changed their name. I was the instructional chair there because I do actually live in Santa Maria, but I work as a teacher in Santa Barbara. So I switched to this unit because it was too hard for me to get back in time to the north to do games in the afternoon so I've just moved to doing games here in our area. So that is pretty much my history and story. So some things I want to talk about. Oh, wait, before I do that, if you're a brand new official to us this year, just kind of put your hand up and wave so we can just sort of see your face a little bit of who's brand new to our unit. Hang on, I got to look at two different screens here. So
you have Say, Diego, Slater.
Yep. And we're missing a few others, I think, that I don't know if they're here yet.
Should be a mom and son.
So, and we do have one official that's going to be a crossover. She's doing her training in San Fernando, but going to be working with us most of the time.
Yeah, we're missing mom and son.
All right. I am going to start with, I know we put some, first off, Zoom, I think, is actually, for us, it's kind of a blessing in disguise. We were forced to go this route, but being so geographically spread out as a unit, I think this is a really good solution for us that we can all get together and not have to drive long distances. Our hope is in the future, in future years, we do want to make we're going to make one meeting where we're all going to get together, but after that, we're going to try and keep everything to Zoom and whatnot. So we do have 3 Zoom meetings that are required of all the veterans, are required of everybody actually, that are tonight and the next 2 Wednesdays. We have on-court work that you're gonna have to do, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Doing tournaments, some summer tournaments to get some hours. And then we have modules that are new this year. These are modules you will do on your own time, online within the next month. I have sent that out already. Those links should have been sent out, and I'm going to go over those today. So I know there are people that have been having some questions about those, and I'm going to bring them up, and I'm going to go over those modules on how to navigate them. Then we have the study guide that is open right now that you should be working on. And then we will have, starting August 1st, we will have the certification test or classification test that you will need to take, and you'll have 10 days to do that, okay? For the study guide, I am asking you this year to correct your study guide to 100%, and I am going to show you some tricks on the best way to do that. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay. Okay, so when you go into our homepage, this is our homepage, and this is my homepage as an official. I have two. I can log in myself either as an official, or I can log in as the instructor, and I see two different types of screens based on how I logged in. So right now for this, I am logged in as an official, which you can see because it says right here next to my name, official. So when you do that, you're going to go to Instructional Corner. Everybody goes to the Instructional Corner. Then you go to Online Testing. Now this shows you what is available for you for online testing. Right now, there's the 21-22 study guide. There is classification A and classification B. These two classifications are closed. They are not open right now. Nobody can take them. As you see, I have taken the study guide one time. I got a whopping score of 18.1%. So what am I going to do now that I have this score? I've done this. What I should do is go to view results on the answer sheet after you've taken your test. Then this will pop up. This will show you what you got wrong and what you got correct. My suggestion is that you print this out, or if you can't print it out, at least get a sheet of paper and write down the answers, the correct ones. Everything in red here I got wrong. That means those are the ones I have to correct. Everything in white right here, like answer 3 and 6, I got correct. So the reason I'm showing you and telling you this is because when you go back to correct them, you don't want to change a correct answer by mistake, which I know can happen because you're going to read question 1 wrong and go, oh no, they're not, and you put an answer in that is incorrect now, but that you had correct originally. So by having this, you can go back, put in the exact answers so you know which ones are correct, and then you can just focus on the ones that are incorrect. Go back and find the correct answers for those. Resubmit your test. I'll get to you in a second, Marianne. Resubmit your test, and then it will pop back up and show me what your next score is. So I've seen people, there are 2 people in particular, I think they took the test 4 times. They kept getting a little better, a little better, a little better until they finally got 100%. And then that shows me that they got 100%. Okay. Yes, Marianne, go ahead.
I don't know if it's cheating or not, but if you submit your thing for grading, it will give you at the end, it will tell you everything you missed along with the questions, and it will tell you what your answer was and what the correct answer is. Then you could just go back in there and but you have to re-put the whole test in, I think, but.
You do, you're going to have to redo the test a second time with all the correct answers.
Yeah. Okay.
So any questions on the study guide? Okay. All right, so after you've done the study guide, so I'm going to go back to.
Jeff, I do have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I can't find how to get to my name and officials online testing. I get to Channel Coast member login.
Right.
And how do I get to that page that you're on?
Have you logged in? Can you get to the page, this home page at all? You can't even get there?
No, I can't get there. It's Channel Coast member login. Okay, when I submit my
Dan,
password.
have you put in your name as capital D and then everything else lowercase, but capital K also? Some people, sometimes the login can be a problem if you're not using you capitalize your first name, you capitalize your last name, no spaces, and then you're going to have to log in. Go ahead, Marianne.
He needs to go. Can you get to this page at all, Dan, right here, without the instruction? Are you able to log on to the system at all?
Yeah, I can get into the system, but
you're going to go over to the SCV BOA homepage, because that's where you're going to take the test. See the thing in blue over here on the left side?
No, we don't want, you can take the test there, but we don't want you to take the test there. We want you to take the test through our instructional corner.
Oh, okay.
Because if you take the test, because when you take the test on SCVBOA, it doesn't automatically propagate into our system. So I wouldn't see your results necessarily.
Oh, okay.
So you have to take it through our instructional corner on the online testing instead of everyone. This is for everyone. You should take it through our online testing. Otherwise, that way I'll be able to see what's happening. If you do it through the SCVBOA, I don't necessarily will see everything, your results and things like that.
But Dan, do you get to this screen here?
No, I can. I have an instructional calendar from the page that I'm on, but it's not.
You know what? I will go in and change your password back to change me.
Okay.
Then you re-sign back in, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay.
Thank you.
And then yes, okay, great, thank you. All right.
Jeff.
Yes.
Can we print out the study guide in a hard copy?
I believe yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Victor, if you need help with that later, let me know. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so that's the study guide. The other thing I want to talk about is these new modules. So for the modules, okay. I sent out in the early email, and I will resend it out again, where you have to go to the SCVOA site, okay? So when you go to the site, this is what it will look like, okay? This is the first one. Seems to be there's been problem. I've been trying to hit this view courses right here, and it comes up, it doesn't seem to work very well. As you go instead to up here, this little, up in this area where it says courses, and click on that. These are all these are the 6 courses that are online, the 6 modules that I want everyone to do, okay? So when you click on a module, professionalism, you say enroll.
Okay.
Hit the enroll over here, okay? I already have access to this course. Let me see. It will, what it'll do is it will ask you for a series of information when you click that on. Let's see if I go to a different course, what'll happen. And you need to fill that out. See if I can get it to come up. It may not be coming up because I'm already logged in. Okay, so I'm already logged in. So this is telling me that I'm ready to take that course, okay? So it's gonna be a video that you're gonna watch, and it could be a series of 2 videos, and then it will be, and then it will ask you a 10-question test, okay? So you have to get that test to 100%. So again, when you are doing the test, I suggest that you keep a list of your 10 answers, what you put down as your 10 answers, because it's going to show you which ones you got wrong. So if you get one wrong, you know that you have the correct answers there with you, and then you just go back, when you go back and do the test the next time, you have the correct answers, and you just have to do the ones you got wrong, okay? So here are my courses that I've signed up with. I've already taken the rotations course I did. So to do that, so after you've done all your courses, what I need from you is I need your certificates of completion. So this is my certificate of completion. This shows me that I have successfully completed the rotations and proper alignment module, gives me the date. That means I watched the video and got 100%, 10 out of 10 on the test. What I need from you is I need you to send me this. So the best way you could print it and take a picture of it, or for those of you that know how, you can do what they call it, you can do a screenshot right from your computer. So you take a picture of this from your computer and just email me that picture, okay? If you can't do the picture, if your computer doesn't have that and you have your cell phone, snap a picture with your cell phone, text me or email it to me that way. Okay. So I need to see the certificates of completion for all the modules each time you do a module. Okay. This was the one, if you remember in the email I sent, where I talked about it has a difficult password. It needs, I believe it had to be at least 8 characters long. It had to contain both an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and I believe a special character, like a $sign or something along, or a percentage sign or something along those lines. So it is a difficult, it won't let you just use, most people use the same password over and over for things that they easily can remember. This one with me, I had to make up a new one that I don't normally use. So just be aware of that when you sign up and go into this.
Jeff,
okay.
Question for you. I'm seeing how it says save underneath there. Can you not download it to your computer and then send it in an email to you?
Yeah, I think you can.
So yeah, so I guess that would be another way.
That would be another way. Thank you. Yes, if you do this save, let me see. If you noticed on my computer, it just went to my download. So I have this certificate downloaded now. So thank you for who pointed that out. That is a good way to do it. Okay. And this enables sharing too. What happens there if I hit disable? All right. Okay. So questions on, you have a month to do this. This is on your own. Okay. And each course, some of the courses are 2 hours. You get 2 hours worth of credit. Some of the courses you get 1 hour's worth of credit. Okay. Any questions more on these courses?
Jeff?
Yeah,
yes.
Jeff.
The password you said we had to make up, is that to get into the website itself?
No, that's not to get into the website. You can get into the website. It's once you sign up for their first course, you're going to have to create a login and password.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it's that password for your login. That's the one that's kind of complicated.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's just weird. It's more complicated than a lot of other passwords. Then is more complicated than what I have to do to get into my bank accounts. So
Jeff, I've got a question.
Yes.
I finished all 6 of them.
Okay.
But one of them said I had to complete the R2. So I went back in and tried to do the R2, and it wouldn't let me. It says, first of all, you have to do this, and I couldn't go back. And I called the guy, and he said something wrong with the link, and I couldn't get back. I haven't heard from him. Is there any?
All right. Who did you call, Lou? Do you remember?
No, I don't know who it was. It was the phone number that was on the screen.
It was probably Hiram.
I think so.
Yeah, it was probably Hiram. All right, Lou.
It happened
to me
too, Jeff.
Say it again. Was that you, Dan?
Same thing happened to me. Yeah.
And was this all on the R2? Both of them were on the R2.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
Let me get a hold of Hiram, and I'll see what the situation is. Okay. If I learn something new, guys, for everybody, if I learn something new about that, I will email it out to everybody. So you might want to avoid the R2 one for the moment and leave that maybe for the end until I can figure out what's going on and where the glitch is. Okay. Thank you. And I appreciate, by the way, we're all learning in this situation, new technology, has its advantages and obviously its disadvantages. So I appreciate you guys being flexible in that respect. All right. Okay. Let's see. Oh, also when you view the videos, they are actually closed captioned, and just be aware that it was a program that did the closed captioning. So a lot of the words, they've heard a word that sounds similar, but it may be a little weird. It may look a little weird if you're following the closed captioning, just because they'll say, they won't know what the word libero is, for example, and it'll input another word in place of libero, or, something similar along those lines. Okay. So just be aware that the closed captioning is not 100% actually accurate, I should say. All right. Let me look through my thing here. All right, so we have new rules. All right, so new rules and points of emphasis. We are going to start there. Any questions before I move into instruction? Okay. All right, here we go. We have very little in the way of new rules this year. So your last year's rule book should be sufficient. These are our volleyball rule changes right here. So allows player to wear head coverings for religious reasons, fit securely, non-abrasive, soft material. So no longer need approval from the state or your local association for religious headgear. Oh, okay, they have approved for us the use of the gray, white or blue shirts that the college used. So now, where everybody last year, we all used the new blue shirts. That is our default shirt. You do not have to go out and buy the other colors. But for those of you that have them, they are acceptable to use. You must contact your down official, your other official. You both have to be in the same uniform. So if you decide to go with the gray uniform, you have to make sure your partner has the gray uniform. Okay. We know everybody has the blue, so that's the default. If you don't have the other color, you're wearing blue. But if you have the white or the gray, you may go ahead and use those as long as your partner also has the white or the gray. So, all right. Okay, eliminates the loss of the rally point for failure to submit the lineup no later than 2 minutes. So instead of giving a point for a late roster, we are now giving an administrative yellow card for a late roster. Okay.
So did I hear you say you can still wear the white?
Not the college white, John. It's the new college white shirt, not the old high school shirt.
What do you mean by old?
The one we used before our blue one.
Uh-huh.
That's the old one. The white college has the same graphics and piping as the blue shirt. It's just in white.
Okay.
So it is not the one we used prior to the blue. You're not allowed to use that one. All right. All right. Volleyball. The only major changes. There was hardly any editorial changes. It allows one for the state association adoption chart is new. The unnecessary delay has been changed chart, and that's due to that the submission of the late lineup. And then the points of emphasis are line judges, coaches, and officials communication, state adoptions, and uniform concerns. This, unless you have the book, you're not going to see a lot. We're not going to have a lot of information for you, unfortunately, on the rule on the points. Excuse me, on the points of emphasis. Okay. Here. Okay, here is a quick 2-minute video I'm going to show. This is the National Federation of High School Rules interpreter. She's the one that's sort of responsible for the rule book. So they're gonna talk a little. It's only about a 2-minute video. So I'm gonna share this right now.
So we're here today with NFHS Volleyball Rules Committee Chair Joe Auk. The volleyball committee just finished up its very first meeting of the 2021 year, a year that we all hope will be much better than the previous. But Joe, just kind of take me through the first major rule change, which the committee is going to allow in 2021 players to wear religious head coverings. And I'm curious if there was much discussion surrounding that rule change, or if that was, pretty much a no-brainer for yourself and the committee.
Yeah, I think Lindsay and the NFHS Board of Directors have done a great job in laying the groundwork where that was concerned. Yeah, I think to the committee, that was pretty much a no-brainer. I think that's the safest way to say that. Our goal was always to have our athletes be able to participate. And as long as the safety concern is not, that there isn't a safety concern for that. So it made perfect sense to kind of relax that rule and take away, not have to have the state's authorize the wearing of religious headwear.
Outside of the religious headwear rule, what are some of the other changes that the committee came up with this year that will be really impactful coming into the 2021 season?
We went with the kinder, gentler version on some penalties that we put in place last year. We had changed the severity of the penalty for submitting a late roster. And we went to an unnecessary delay where that was concerned instead of giving that point side out right off the bat. So it made good common sense. We had a proposal before us to change the lineup penalty to be similar to that of the roster penalty. If a coach doesn't submit their lineup within that 2 minutes before the start of the match, it's going to be a YUD, an unnecessary delay yellow card, which is their warning. Now, if they don't get it in before that clock expires, now it's going to become that point loss of rally, that red card.
Okay. All right. And this might be on several people's minds too, is what is going to be, because of COVID, what rules are we going to be keeping from what we did last year into this next season? And the answer at the moment is I do not know. As soon as I get more clarification on how we're going to do things, like are we going to be switching benches like normal? Also whistle guidelines. I'm sure you will be able to probably use either your standard whistle or an electronic whistle. I have some information on electronic whistles we'll get to later. That'll be in one of the later meetings. So in terms of those things, I do not know. I don't have the answers right now. I will, as soon as I get them, I will pass them along to all of you. And also there could be different schools could have some different rules as it relates to COVID and those sorts of things. So we'll pass that information along as well. Robert or Marianne, do you have any interaction or any information on any of that stuff? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no.
Kind of missed the question, sorry.
I said, do you have any information on any of the what's going to be any of the COVID issues and if what's going to be kept or not for this upcoming season?
As far as I know, masks are not required. So, and same with the kids and with the officials. That's what I've heard so far. You can use either whistle that you want, that you're comfortable with. If you want to wear a mask, you're more than welcome to wear a mask. But that's all I've heard so far.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Chris.
Are officials going to be asked, or is it very smart for officials to show up that you've been vaccinated?
Don't have an answer to that. I will see. Let me put that down. That's a good question.
As of now, there is no requirement, or not that I know of, or SCVOA or CIF has passed along. There's not going to be any requirement to be vaccinated or tested or show any proof of that for high school.
Officials, kids, et cetera, is that right?
All of it.
Okay. If any new information we get, we will pass along to you as soon as we can. All right, so this is what the 21-22 rule book looks like. This is the Kindle version that I have. So we're gonna start over rules 1 through 12, or excuse me, 1 through 6. I'm not gonna go, what I've done is I've gone through this and I've just highlighted sections that I wanna make you aware of, areas of the rules that have created either issues or just a little complicated type of thing. All right. Where am I there? All right, here are once again, are those changes for the year, the headwear, the gray or bright blue, but also white. That white that is been associated by the SCVOA has allowed for all 3 colors, although the rule book only says 2. This is the penalty. The 714 penalty is again for the late roster. We are not going to charge them anything more than an administrative yellow card. Editorial changes we went over. I'm not going to bother with that. Okay, obviously your court diagrams. Okay. These are all pretty basic, all this stuff right here. Okay. So suspension of a match can be suspended for a power failure, host management failing to resolve a situation for unruly spectators in a reasonable amount of time. So if you have a situation where you have an irate fan who is causing a disruption and cannot be taken care of by the host management, then you could suspend that match. It's something we would not want to do. We want to give as much time as possible for that to be taken care of. If you do not have, if you're at a school where you have no administrator on, where you have no administrator in the building or on area, it falls upon the head coach of that home school to take care of these situations. So hopefully there will be an administrator available at your matches, and there should be, but some of the smaller schools don't always have one, or they're covering the soccer game as well as they're covering the volleyball game. So they may be out of the gym at the moment. So that sort of thing. So then it becomes the head coach's, home team head coach's responsibility, even if it's a visitor, even if it's a visiting spectator. Okay. Music and artificial noisemakers, they can go at the start of the set up until you're ready to play, warm-ups, during timeouts, between sets, following the competition. The use of artificial noisemakers, that's like the sticks that they pound or the clackers, any of those sorts of things are not allowed in the stands. That is also a host management, if that's the case. That is host management's responsibility to make sure that the spectators do not have those items, and he either informs them or removes them. Okay. Any questions on that? And I have had that situation come up at Dos Pueblos. They had given out these clackers, this Dos Pueblos clackers to everybody that they actually had in the stand. So I have had that in the last 2 years. Court and markings, 2 inches shall be the line, 4 inches down the middle is the standard. Remember, you should tape the center line. If they do not have a line going all the way through, we can use tape to continue that center line so we have a solid center line under the net all the way through. Yeah. All right. This is ball. When a ball, dead ball, I believe. Let me go back. Yes, out of bounds. Okay, what is considered out of bounds? Most of these things you know. Things I want to emphasize are touches or enters from the direction of the court, a non-playable area beyond the legal reach, okay, hang on, I gotta, sorry. The legal reach of a player or adjacent court scheduled for play. So the reason I highlighted this is if the ball is to go into the stands and it's beyond the reach of a player who cannot keep at least one body part on the playing surface, that ball now becomes dead, okay, at that point. The other thing is if there is an adjacent court in play, so we're pretty much talking tournament situations, if you have a court going adjacent to you, they may not go onto the court, the actual court, to play that ball. You're hopefully going to have defined that boundary for them in your pregame conference. They can go up to the court, but they cannot go on it. And that includes playing after the ball. So if I play the ball first and then continue on to that court that's next to me, then the ball, it's going to be dead. Okay. And the point will go to the other team. Even if a court is not we're talking tournament situations here. Even if a court is not being used, but either the game is just finished or there's a game coming up in a few minutes or however long, if that court is going to be active, those restrictions remain in place, even though nobody is playing on that court next to you at the moment. Okay. Questions?
Hey,
on
Jeff.
that?
Jeff?
Yes.
So we're talking about the actual playing court, not the free zone around it, right? They can can go around the court, but not touch the physical, the boundaries or the playing court.
Correct. We are talking the 30 by 30 court or 90 by 30, however you want to classify it.
Okay, thank you.
Area. Okay. All right. All right. The next one is touches any part of a backboard or its supports hanging in a vertical position over a playable area. If it's a served ball or in the judgment of the referee, the ball would not have remained in play if the backboard had not been there. So what this means, if you have a backboard that has not been raised, that is still in a vertical position over a playable area, if the ball was to go out of bounds, meaning hit the wall, had the backboard not been there, it is a point side out for the appropriate team. If, however, that backboard interferes with legitimate play or the effort to make a legitimate play, or they have the option or ability to make that play, then you can call a replay. So a hard, they serve the ball, I shank it, it's headed, really fast out of bounds, hits that backboard behind me, point for the other team, okay? Because there was no chance to play it. But if I make if I take that first ball and it's got an arc to it and I've got a player going for that ball for that second hit and the backboard interferes, that's the situation of a replay, okay? The same goes with its supports or cables, okay? Any of that, if any of that interferes with my legitimate effort to play the ball, I can get a replay for my team, okay? However, this one here touches any part of a backward support hanging in a vertical position over the service area when tossed. This one is tossed for serve. So if I toss up the serve and it hits the backboard next to me, that's it. I lose my serve. There's no replay. They have to be aware of their area and have to stand away from the backboard. That's the responsibility of the server to do that. So if I toss the ball and it hits the backboard, we have a side out or we have a point for the other team, and it goes as a side.
It's Larry Coleman. I have a question on.
Yes, Larry, go ahead.
If the backboard is lowered from the ceiling and not from the wall, isn't that considered part of the ceiling?
If it's raised, it's part of the ceiling. If the backboard cannot, let's say the backboard is in the full playing position like it should be for basketball, let's say it was broken, if they are unable to raise that backboard, that is considered vertical position. Doesn't matter if it's attached to the ceiling or the wall, if it's vertical. If they bring that back, if they raise that backboard even a portion, then as long as the backboard is not in vertical position, then it would be considered part of the ceiling.
Okay.
That makes sense, Larry?
No, I just wanted to make sure you clarified which.
Right, and I think I was going to come to that in a little bit.
I'm sorry.
But yes,
Anything
that's raised, we want them to continue play and use it and judge it as part of the ceiling. Okay. Let's see what we got here. All right, this is restricted play. Okay, in a playable area, sports are considered to be part of the backboard. That's the one that I was just talking about. Okay, a player may play a ball over a non-playable area if the player has a body part in contact with a playable area at the time the ball is contacted, and then may enter the non-playable area after playing the ball. So this is what I was talking about a little earlier, where if I can keep a body part on the playing surface and play the ball over the bleachers, or possibly over the bench, or over the table, all of those are non-playable areas, but if the player can stay in the playable area, then you are going to allow that to continue, even though the ball possibly has broken the plane of what we consider the non-playable area, okay? Other thing, if I'm running for a ball towards the bleachers and I make the pass and my momentum carries me into the bleachers, okay, play on. Unlike what I just said on the court, on the adjacent court. That's the only difference, is that if you have the adjacent court, and we're primarily talking tournament situations, That's a little different situation. You can't, but in a gym, you can play the ball in the playable area, and then your momentum carry you into a non-playable area. Let play continue. Okay. Any questions on that one? Thank you. Okay. That's our penalties. We're good there. Net and markings. This, I'm not going to bore you with any of this. The only thing you really need to know is that that might have been a change within the last few years, is that we are now allowed to, they are allowed to put a sleeve or markings on the top of the net tape. So it can say Santa Barbara High School, it can say Mizuno, anything that they put on the top of the tape is now legal. So that used to not be. So that's a change from a couple of years ago. Oh, okay, padding of the standards. Standards and referee stand and the poles all need to be padded to a height of 5.5 feet. Okay, with a 1-inch thick resilient shock absorbing material, foam, most, you know, any of the professionally made items that come from the sports companies, those are all meet standards. You shouldn't have to worry about those. We do allow the noodles, the foam noodles, or the pipe insulations to cover certain areas too. That is acceptable. Okay. And again, we are talking the referees platform and the standards. If a school cannot play or cannot do the padding to the 5.5 feet, the state association, if it's an unsafe situation, they want you to not play the game and report to the state association immediately. In this case, we would report to me, report to Tony, and we'll get it to Anita, our liaison, to address that situation if they cannot come up with a minimum padding. I do not think there's any, I have not run into this problem probably in the last 10 or 15 years. I have not run into a problem where they were not able to pad the stand and the poles to the requirement. Yeah. You should be on a platform that is a safe one. If you do not feel safe, you do have the option of calling it from the ground. In tournaments, you may only have the option of calling it from the floor because they may not have enough standards if they're using multiple courts, or the standards may not be able to fit there because the way the courts are set up, sometimes they're using one pole in the middle for 2 courts type of a situation. So all of the volleyballs, make sure when you're checking the volleyballs, they need to have one of these 2 seals. The National Federation, this is the most common right here. This one is acceptable as well. Remember, a ball may be 3 different colors, okay? So it can be up to 3 different colors, 1/3 of which has to be, one of those colors must be white though. There must be 1/3 of the panels have to be white. The other 2/3 can be 2 different colors, or one color, or one color. There. Team benches, make sure we want the team benches on the side of the court with the table and with the R2, because that becomes the R2's responsibility to take care of all of the entering subs and those sorts of situations. Okay, I should have highlighted this one. Equipment and accessories. Prior to the match, head coaches shall verify that their players are legal and wearing legal uniforms and equipment. So this is very important. We want to make sure when you are in your pre-match conference, we want you to ask the head coach, are all your players properly and legally equipped? If they say yes, that is what we are looking for. They have verified that. If you, during that time, see a player who has a tape or bandage on their ear, their nose, wherever, we are not going to go looking for jewelry. The coach has verified that they are legal. We are going to go with that. If that Band-Aid or tape was to fall off during play and you see a earring under there, now you would assess, at that time, you would assess the penalty for jewelry. Okay, is that clear to everybody? Do not ask players to remove tape or earrings. If you get everybody's legal from the coach, that is what we are going to go with. All right. Okay, guard or cast has to be padded if it's on the hand, finger, wrist, or forearm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me restate that. A guard, cast, or brace made of hard or unyielding leather, plastic, metal, or any other hard substance shall not be allowed on the hand, finger, wrist, or forearm. So basically this whole area, okay, has to be soft material. Okay, they can wear a brace as long as it's soft, even if it's padded. Okay, it cannot be a hard material even if it's padded. Other parts, knee, ankle, any of that can be a regular hard. It can be a hard material, metal or plastic. Okay. Okay, elbow, upper arm, shoulder shall be padded with a closed cell. That's if it's wearing here, this is all you can see this. Knee and ankle braces, we just talked about. All right, this was a change from last year, Article 4 here. A protective face mask made of hard material may be worn, but must be molded to the face with no protrusion. So that's the type of mask you see a lot of basketball players will sometimes wear. It's that clear mask that is basically molded to their face. So that is an allowable thing. And that was put in, I believe last year was the year that was a new, that was new. Okay. The blue is, these are the new rules for this year. So again, this is that head covering for religious reasons, not considered hair devices, it has to fit securely and be safe. Okay, head coverings worn for medical reasons require state association approval. So if they're wearing a helmet, for example, if she wants to play in a helmet, then that is where you will need a doctor's note or from the state association or the league. Okay. Jewelry shall not be worn by players during warm-ups and or competition. We want to handle this, again, talking about jewelry, we want to handle this in a manner, if you see jewelry during warm-ups, just go to the coach and have them remove it. We don't need to make a huge deal out of it, okay? So ask them to remove it. If they don't, then you can move on to the next step. So if you do see jewelry, if you see the jewelry and it's clearly visible and you go to the coach and ask them to remove it, and the coach says, no, the girl won't remove it because it's a new ear piercing or whatever, and she will not, and the player refuses to remove it, at that point you can say, well, then the player cannot participate. Does there somebody have a question on that? I kind of heard something there. Okay, good. Medical alert bracelets are not considered jewelry and can be taped and be visible. Okay. Religious medals are also not considered jewelry, and they should be worn under the uniform and taped to the body. No body paint or glitter on hair, face, or uniform. Okay, and here's the penalties. This is the first one I discussed, removing the jewelry. A player who does not comply can be charged with unsporting conduct. But what I do is I just inform the coach that the player is not eligible to play until they remove the equipment. Okay. Okay, moving on to uniforms. So the first time, if you do find a violation for, let's say you do find jewelry during the game, it is a warning or a yellow card. Is that, I think you would just do it as a warning, but subsequent violations will require a loss of rally or a point. So,
Jeff, I've got a question.
Go for it.
Number 8 back there said body paint. Does that include tattoos?
No, it does not.
Okay.
We're talking in that. Thank you for what we're talking about is things that can come off and get onto the ball or onto the floor. So like glitter, for example, is a thing. If they're wearing glitter, hang on, Marianne, I'll get you. If they're wearing glitter and that glitter sheds and falls on the floor, it can be a hazard because people can slip on it. Not going to happen with a tattoo. Go ahead, Marianne.
Also, henna tattoos, the ones that are drawn on their hands.
Right.
If they have it on the palm of their hands, that's illegal. They can have it on the back because that's not going to come on the ball, but on the palm of their hands,
okay.
No.
So good. Now, I've never run into that. I've never had that question about the henna tattoos or run into that.
I've come across a couple girls.
Okay. So. All right. Okay, we're moving on to uniforms here. For CIF, or for National Federation, I should say, the wording is uniform tops shall be light colored. They do not have to be identical. This differs from USA, which a lot of us are doing, where the wording is that the uniforms must be identical. So for high school, like colored is all we need. So it can be 2 different shades of red. They can have tie-dye uniforms that do not, that are similar, but are not identical. Okay. Same goes for the uniform bottoms, is that they have to be light colored, but they do not have to be the same style. So for a uniform bottom, multiple styles of the uniform. So one person could be wearing shorts, one person could be wearing spandex, as long as they're both black. Okay, those are fine. Or when I mean spandex, I mean like leggings or yoga pants. Those would be acceptable. Okay, skirts, I think I've seen in my entire career, I think I've only seen one school, a religious school down in the valley, San Fernando Valley, that wore skirts. I've only seen it once or twice. So usually
I've seen it at a collegiate level actually once.
Really? So, okay. So the uniform the uniform top must come to their waistline. They cannot have bare midriff. Tops are not allowed. Okay. It's number 2 here. The uniform top shall hang below or tuck into the waistband of the uniform, bottom when the player is standing upright. Okay. Again, our goal is not to be the uniform police. We want to enforce the rules, but we don't want to go out of our lane, so to speak, to be doing that. Okay. So don't go looking for trouble in terms of that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Undergarments may be worn. So we're talking spandex under shorts. Those sorts of things are fine. Solid color similar to the uniform bottom. So if we're talking there, or if they want to wear long sleeves under their uniform jersey, same thing. It has to be same color as the uniform top. That does not apply, however, to things that could be considered medically necessary. So if they're wearing a sleeve that is not a part of a shirt, okay, a compression sleeve, that can be a different color. That does not have to be the same color as the uniform, okay? Libero uniforms. We've gone back and forth over the years. Hang on just a second, I gotta get some water. Thank you. All right. They've gone back and forth over the years on defining a libero uniform. They finally, at least, have gotten it much better. Basically, it must contrast. That is simply what you're using to judge. Does the libero uniform clearly contrast from the rest of the team? Okay, so if you can tell, and it's contrasting color, and you can tell that it is a different uniform, that's fine. Go with that. If the team is wearing white and the libero is wearing an all gray uniform, that's may not contrast enough. Okay, so if that's the case, then you can make them change. Okay. So it cannot be predominantly anything in the uniform other than the trim cannot be predominantly the same color as what is in the rest of the team. Okay. The bottoms, who help me with this? Someone, can a libero bottom, the bottoms of the libero be different? I think they can in high school from the rest of the team.
I know in club they can be. I'm not sure on high school. You want me to check the rule book?
Yeah, I want to look that up while I'm moving on here.
Okay.
Okay.
It used to be that they cannot. I'm not sure now.
Yeah. All right. So the number has to be solid. It needs to be, what are we talking? I think it's 4 inches in the front and 6 inches in the back for the young number. Somebody have something?
The libero shorts do need to be a light color to the rest of the team.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for finding that. So shorts then have to be the same color as the rest of the team. Again, it could be a different style as long as they're all black or gray or whatever they're using. Okay, so beginning in 2 years, I guess, they are going to require that the number clearly contrast. In other words, sometimes there'll be a border where, let's say they wear a red uniform, they used a black border, but then they used a red on the middle of the number again. So that in 2 years will not be legal. The number, regardless of the border, has to be contrasting from the rest of the uniform. Okay, nothing we need to worry about right now. Okay. Yeah, 4 inches tall in the front and 6 inches tall in the back for the uniform number. Again, do not get out a measuring tape. As long as it looks good and you can see it, we are going to assume that those numbers meet the requirements in terms of size. Now, we did have an interesting situation in boys where the libero, they used the same, they had two different liberos and they ended up using the same jersey. So that became an issue with how it was, when they turned their roster in, how they had numbered the people, because they gave the number to one libero, but they did on the roster, they did not give that number to the other libero. So when they turn their roster in for a libero, they may have two different numbers is fine. If they're number 6 for the regular jersey, but number 12 for the libero jersey, they just list both numbers on there. But they should not be sharing a single jersey. All right, so rule 5, this is the responsibilities and positions. This is a long area. Do we want to take a short break here, guys? Let's do that. It's 7:14. Let's come back at 7:20. Everybody take a short break, and we will finish up with rule 5, responsibilities and positions. This is going to go into responsibilities for both the R1 and the R2, as well as touching on what's on the table as well. So we'll touch also on scorekeeper, line judge, and libero tracker responsibilities. But we're going to do that. So let's take a 5-minute break.
Hey, Jeff, real fast, when everybody comes on, you do need to stay visual or visible during the meeting for attendance credit, unless you are strictly on this Zoom by phone. I just want to reiterate that, that's all.
And I know we have one or two, we do have one or two people who have an older model computer,
Sure.
may not have a video system.
Just let me know and I'll make a note of it.
And all that stuff, guys, you can also in the chat, for those of you that are new to Zoom, if you go into the chat, you can send personally, you can send a message to just myself or just Kathy or just Marianne without everybody else seeing it. So that's an option there. If you need to communicate with us, you can do that via the chat. Okay. All right. 5-minute break, and I'll see you. We'll be back here at 7:20. Okay.
Would it help if I gave him some pointers? I'm just fine, yeah.
Oh, I guess if I put my hearing back on, I can hear.
All right, got about 1 more minute here. We'll get started again.
Yeah. You're the one? Let me tell you something. That guy you blew off happens to be my best friend. He's devastating.
Sorry. Can you just give him this?
Jerry, are you hitting the bottle again?
Yeah. Heavy duty. I'm fast, but okay, anyway. Yes.
It's a lovely day in Hawaii.
Oh, congratulations, Lou. I happen to be in Idaho myself right now. That is, again, one of the advantages we have now with Zoom is that don't have to stay. I can do my vacation. Being I'm a teacher and this is my time. So, all right. Any questions before I move on to Rule 5?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay. Some of the kids, when they're warming up, they have electronic things out of their ears. Their music, etc. I'm assuming that is not legal.
That is correct. It is not legal because it can be a safety hazard.
That's correct. So at some point, I would think if we notice it, we should go to the coach and ask them for the kids to remove the music or the things in their ears, okay?
Correct. If they are not actively warming up, they can wear them. If they're actively warming up, just like the shoes issue, they must wear closed toe shoes if they're on the court warming up and they're students.
Anyway, thank you.
Okay. Yep. All right. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. Excellent. All right. Rule 5, responsibilities of the officials. Okay. Line judges, will most likely be will be provided by the school. Occasionally, we will have paid line judges that will be assigned by our assigner. So that's good when that can happen. But normally, you're going to be using students as your line judges. Please take the time to go over, especially early in the season, to go over the responsibilities of the line judge. The other thing I like to do is I like to make sure that whoever is line judging is going to be there the whole match. And if they're not, if they're going to be switching, you should be talking to all of the line judges that are going to be switching back and forth. So if you have 4, if they're going to switch every other game, talk to all 4 of them, okay? I hate it when they'll leave in the middle and I get a new line judge and I have no idea whether they know what their responsibilities are and when they, and if they know what they're doing. Okay, remember your jurisdiction as referee begins when you land on when you arrive.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, who is that?
John Roberts.
Go ahead, John.
Get rid of the linesman.
It's not our call, John.
You're better off without him. You're better off without him.
You are and you aren't at times. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but there are, especially if the better thing would be if we actually had, paid lines people who were doing
They cause more trouble than they're worth.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Okay, that I don't need. All right, here's what I wanted. Okay, so we're going to start with hand signals and mechanics when it comes to our signals. Okay, so after the referee whistles to signal the end of a rally, the referee indicates the decision with the official hand signal. So we all know this now. The first thing you're going to indicate is who is going to have the next serve. Or who gets the point by who has the next serve. Then you are going to, if it's a fault, then you're going to indicate, you indicate the result of the play, which is the next serve, and then the nature of the fault. So if you have this because the ball is out of bounds, you're going to go like this next, okay? The second referee will mirror the first referee in their signals. So the first referee should be leading, not the second referee, not the other way around. Okay, the only signal that the second referee will not mirror is a serve in a net serve, a serve that goes in the net. Okay, that is the referee's signal only. The second does not. Now, if the fault is whistled by the second referee will indicate the nature of the fault and the player committing the net fault, okay? The first referee, if in agreement, will then indicate the result of the play, point or replay, followed by the player committing the net fault. The second referee will mirror the signal for the point. So what we want in high school is we want the number, okay? We want the number of the player at fault, unlike USA where we point and then the coach still says, well, who was that? And then you give them the number anyways. But so for high school, we are indicating the number. So remember, 10 is a 0, is like this. So if you're giving something in the teens, okay, this would be number 12, okay? If you're giving 22, this would be 22, okay? So we use this for the 10, and if it's number 10, you're just giving a fist. But if, like I said, if it's anything between 11 and 19, you're gonna give the fist and then the rest of the number, okay? Okay, if we do have a double fault, we try and indicate, if we have a double whistle, we try and indicate who faulted first, okay? And go by that.
Jeff.
Hang on just a second. Occasionally you will have a simultaneous fault, I should say. An example of that could be a net, or an example, 2 nets where both players net at the same time. Another example could be you have a ball handling at the same time that you would have a net. So if they happened at the same time, then you would do a replay. Yes, Victor.
If you've got a number like 35, how do you indicate the 30? Thank you.
It's 3. That's Marianne. Yeah, I always get in trouble for this because this means something in other cultures that can mean something else. So it's 3, 5. So it's 3.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, that's a bad habit I have. I tend to always use this as my 3 when I really should be using that as my 3.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Question. If an R2 calls a center line fault, are we giving a number for the center line fault?
No, you're not required on a number on the center line fault. If the coach asks who it is, you can verbalize that, is fine. But only on nets are we requiring that that you provide a number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Good question. Excellent question. Excellent. All right. Okay, so here in this one, see, this is a little different. Here, it actually states all 3 colors, where before in that earlier one that I showed you did not. So this is the new rule about how we may be dressed. So a collared polo style shirt, short or long sleeve, may be any of the 3 colors approved by the state association: white, bright blue, which is cayenne, they call it, that's what we all have now, or gray, okay? And there must be in light colors. We do not wear black slacks, we wear blue slacks in California, and we wear white shoes. So this, again, what this information about the officials is for National Federation. California has modified that. That is some of the modifications, so we use the white shoes, white socks, and blue slacks.
Yeah, and I'd like to mention too, if we can, when they say slacks, we're talking about, and as much as I hate to say it because it's not always the most comfortable, but like a polyester, the cotton dockers and things like that have a tendency to fade. So it looks more professional if we are all in navy blue, not just blue, but navy blue slacks or polyester type of pants. And I may be unpopular for saying that, but it looks better if we're all in the same type of pant as well. Oh, speaking of which, I know that, thank you, Robert, for just putting that in there. PAVO, VBofficialsgear.com, they sell pants that look very nice. There's two different types of pants up on their site. I highly recommend the lesser costing pants. They actually look really, really good. They last, they're comfortable. And actually seems to be, from everybody that I've talked to about those pants, that's the pair of pants that everybody's been going with, is the less expensive of the 2 pairs of pants.
All right, thanks, Tony.
Yeah, Jeff, for anybody that's confused, this is the old logo here.
That's the old one. Yes, that is not of it. That is not usable any longer.
Right.
We do not use shirts with that logo on it. Thank you, Richard. And along with that, at the IC meeting I had a couple weeks ago, we were talking about outerwear. Jackets, navy blue jackets are the outerwear that you should be wearing over your shirt. So if it's warm in there, if they want a navy blue jacket unadorned, okay, no logos on it necessary. So we're no longer using, I remember a lot of us had the white sort of sweatshirts that we would put over our uniforms. Those are not we're not using those anymore. They've gone to a navy blue. Okay, if it is cold, long sleeve polos are fine. That meet the criteria. They sell the long sleeve polos along with the short sleeve.
So Jeff, you can't put your name on it?
I would say a name would be okay. No logo. So
I know in wrestling we have our just our first name.
Right. And in basketball, I remember when I was doing basketball, when I would referee basketball, we had our names on it, we had our logos on it, and it was black. It was a black one, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah. But what I was told was navy. I'm hoping that we're going to get a change on that, where they're going to come out with something logo, hopefully a logo like we use on our shirts. But as of now, the wording has been navy blue jacket.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
I would like to caution putting names on your outerwear. Only because at least in volleyball, we generally try and be as anonymous as possible. And what I would hate to have happen is that either mostly as much as I hate to say it, parents in the stands start picking up the name off your jacket, and then they start calling you by name when they don't like your calls. So the more anonymous we can be, I think that's a better way to go personally. And that's the recommendation I would make. I know in a lot of collegiate conferences, especially, the announcer is not even allowed to announce who the officials are, which is just try and protect them from anybody getting personal. So just a suggestion.
So, okay, thank you. Okay, so your equipment that you need in addition to your uniform, the minimum things you need are a whistle, a set of yellow and red cards, a coin, and a watch. Hopefully you also have a net chain to measure the net, a gauge for the pump or for the ball, and a hand pump so that you can adjust the ball to the proper pressure. Okay. We do not in California use a lineup card. So do not bring a lineup card out onto the floor. When we check your lineups, you're going to check them via hang on, I'll be right there, via the sheets that the coaches provided, the lineup sheets. Okay, who had a question or had a comment?
I have one, Jeff.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, the question is obviously during COVID, we really weren't supposed to be touching the balls as very little as possible. Mm-hmm. So I assume if we're going to be checking air pressure and everything else and pumping, we're going to have to be touching the balls. And if you're the R2, putting them in play after each, timeout or whatever. So and we still haven't got any guidelines from CIF. So
I'm going to assume,
what should we be looking forward to or not?
I am assuming we're going to go back to, with the ball, with that sort of stuff, we're going to go back to the way it was. They're not going to be requiring us to do what we did last year of, trying not only having the players touch the balls, things like that, having them sanitized between rallies or whatever. Mm-hmm. I assume we're going to be able to go back to our regular 3-ball system of having 3 balls, using the one, putting another one in play as needed. But if I get any other information, I will certainly pass that along as to what the procedure will be. Okay. All right. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything on equipment that we should have? Anything I missed that we should be carrying?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jerry.
For some of the new people who have never officiated before, if you're checking the air pressure in the ball, please put some, spit on the needle before you put the ball, before you put your
well, that's going to go back to Larry's problem of we're not supposed to be sharing our germs. Actually, what works better than saliva is hand sanitizer. What I do is I actually have I use my small bottle of hand sanitizer. I use the hand sanitizer on the needle, and that lubricates the needle well enough to that you won't have a problem with popping the ball.
I understand that, but if they don't have that, please don't, put the needle into the ball cold, because you'll end up ruining the ball at the school, and they're about $30-35. Anyway.
That's
right.
true. Let me just also drive this point home. Whenever anyone gets a ball gauge or a pump, there should be a tiny little bottle of what's called needle lube that you can stick the needle into, and it'll wet the needle without spitting on it, without needing anything else. It goes in really smoothly. That's all.
All right, here we go. All right, so pre-match responsibilities.
Jeff, I'm sorry. I know actually, because Tony was the one who told me this. We say a whistle. I think Tony suggest at least 2 whistles in case that one breaks, gets stuck or something. So
right, are you talking electronic whistles, Larry, or are you talking traditional whistles?
Both.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, this was way back when I first started, and Tony was trying to help me. I know it was a losing battle, Tony, but it was you have 2 whistles, because and actually have them, if you're the R1, have your extra whistle and a lanyard in your pocket, because if something happens during the match, you don't want to be getting down off the stand or having somebody run again.
Right. So, all right. Thank you. All right. So first, hang on, sorry. All right. You need to be in uniform 30 minutes prior to the contest. Okay. And at the site. Please, let's all be as professional as possible. Please contact your partner prior to, hopefully 24 hours or more prior to your assignment, so you are both on the same page. Sometimes, if we're doing an earlier match, there can be issues. I'm just leaving work. Let your partner know. Be in communication. Let them know that you're going to be there on time, or you're going to be a little late. And if they can start the warm up for you, just be in communication about all those things. Okay. Yeah. We are going to, so be on site. You're going to check the volleyballs. We talked about how to do that. Always inspect the court. You're looking to make sure the lines are the right size and complete and solid, whether you need to add tape or anything like that. You're looking at more than the court, you're actually looking at what's outside the court. Where are the playable areas? What are the obstructions? What could be a replay? What couldn't be a replay? So those are things I'm looking for things you might want to mention in your pregame conference, especially for the visitor team, and saying, well, this is how we're going to play this backboard or this obstacle. Okay. You're going to measure the net height. Make sure everything's padded correctly, establish your non-playable areas and your ground rules if there are anything out of the ordinary. For example, in San Marcos, the beam that goes in the center of the gym, in most gyms, when they have a beam, it is situated over mid-court or right over the net. In San Marcos, it's offset by a couple of feet. So it's on the side one. One of the ground rules we tend to use there is I will tell them, if it's your second hit, it plays off that, stays on your same side, we are going to continue to play it just like it was centered. Okay. So that's a unique ground rule for that gym. So look for things like that. Okay. And just because I play it that way doesn't mean you have to play it that way, but you do need to make both coaches aware of how it's going to be played that night. Okay, so if I use a ground rule one way and you're using it another way, I'm not saying you're wrong or I'm right or I'm wrong. Just make sure that everybody is well aware of how it's being called for that contest. All right.
Jeff, don't we want to be consistent on that?
We would want to, Richard, but we can't we can't communicate everything like that for all of our 30 gyms. You know, I don't know what happens at Camarillo. I don't know if Camarillo has some weird thing that I'm not aware of. So when I go in there and I see it, I'm going to call it how I think it should be called. And when you go in there, you're going to see it and call it how you think it should be called. Okay. The school should designate this should provide you with the score, the tracker, and the timer, and most likely the line judges. That is the home school's responsibility. We've all been in that situation where we get into the gym and nobody is there. That is the head coach, the home team's responsibility, or the AD's responsibility to provide those players for you. I especially would like my scorer there at least 10 minutes, if not longer, before the starting of the contest. Okay, but you all know, we've all been there. 2 minutes to go, we're at the lineup and nobody's there at the table. So that's the head coach. That's all on the head coach, regardless of level. Because a lot of times you'll get to a lower level contest, you'll get to a freshman or a JV, and the head varsity coach isn't even around. He's not going to show up for another 40 minutes. Okay, so you have to put it on whoever the home head coach is for that level. Okay. Talk with your second referee, go over their duties, same with the line judges. It says assign line judges their positions. I let them choose their positions unless there is if it's a brand new official line judge and they're nervous, I will most likely try and put them on my side. So you can do that, but I don't really assign line judges. I let them choose, but they do need to they're supposed to stay on their same side the entire contest. Okay. You're going to conduct your pre-match conference with a captain and the head coaches. I'm assuming we're going back to that. I do not know. I will let you know if I find out that we're going to continue with yes, Richard or Robert, we are going back to the traditional. Thank you. Okay. So we are going back to captains and coaches, do your full content, your pre-match, ask them if they're equipped, go over the ground rules, introduce your team. That is your R2. Paid line people if you have them, and then conduct your coin toss. Okay, you're going to do that at the table or in front of the table. You're checking players. It says open wounds, bleeding. That's kind of I've never run into a situation prior to the game where I've had that issue. Wearing illegal, you verify with the coach about the uniforms. Conduct the coin toss, like I said. Then determine, so once you've determined who has served, what I always do, my trick to remember is I take my coin, and if I'm the referee, if I'm the R1, I put it in the pocket on the side of the team that has the first serve. So that helps me remember who has the first serve. So if the team to my right, as the R1 would have it, it's in my right pocket. On the R2, if they're doing the same thing, it would be in their left pocket, their coin. All right. Make sure your R2 should have a coin, because if you come to a deciding set, it will be the R2, just the R2 that will do the coin toss for the deciding set. And they're going to do that in front of the table now, and then let you know what the result is. Okay. The R1 is the head official. They have jurisdiction over everything. So if there is a dispute between officials, if my R2 and I do not, I'm the R1, and we do not agree on a call, it becomes my decision. I am the R1 is the final decision maker on a dispute like that. Okay. Okay, this has happened before. If you have a problem with a linesman, a scorer, a tracker, anything like that, it is the R1 has the ability to replace that by asking the home coach to replace that person. Things that I've done is like one example will be students who will not stay off their phones. If they're not paying attention because they're too into their phones, that is a reason to be replaced. Okay. Of course, I would ask them first to put their phones away for the remainder of the match and not have them out. But if it's a continuing problem, that's when you can replace them. Okay. Looking through, just running through this real quick. Okay, the deciding set we talked about, where the second referee will do the coin toss, and during that, the home team will get to call the coin, because you've had the visitor call them in the pre-match conference, but for the deciding game, you allow the home team to call the coin, and then obviously give the options, which are serve, side, or receive, to the winning team. Okay. The big thing with the second referee, their primary responsibility is to take care of the table, take care of the substitutions, watch for net faults and foot faults, and to assist the referee with plays that they may not be able to see because they are blocked. But again, all of that should be talked about in your pregame conference as to what you want with the first referee, what they expect of their second referee, and what they want their second referee to handle. Okay, so again, I highlighted this because we do not use a lineup card, but it is your responsibility to make sure that both teams are in the correct order, serving order before the start of the game, or the set, I should say. Okay, so second referee, here's your primary responsibilities during the match: determine alignment of players on the receiving team at the moment of serve, determine net faults on both sides of the net, determine hand-foot faults at the center line, assist the referee in determining back row player faults. Again, this is something you should talk to your head referee with in your pregame. I always would like my R2 to help me with a back row player fault, even if what I really want them is to tell me that it was a back row player that committed that act, and then I will make the final decision as to whether it was really a fault or not, mostly depending on where the ball is in terms of height, whether it's above or below the top of the net. But by having that second referee give me that signal that, hey, this is a back row player that just attacked that ball, then I determine whether it was above or below. And it's a good feeling for me knowing that, hey, I have somebody confirming with me that that's what I saw, that we had a back row player foul. For you got all the new officials, I know that's a kind of a hard concept. Mary Ann, you'll get a lot of, we'll talk to you about that in subsequent meetings. Control the intro. Second referee, again, you're responsible for all the subs over there. Now, this does not mean that the R1 cannot whistle for a substitution, because a lot of times the R2 will have their back to there and they may not have noticed that a substitute is there or coming up. So it's fine for the R2 to whistle and the R1 to whistle and let the R2 know that there's a substitute waiting for entry. Okay. Remember, the head coach remains in the replacement zone and no closer than 6 feet to the sideline during play. During dead ball play, the coach can approach the sideline closer, but when the play starts, they're supposed to be 2 steps back from the sideline, and they have to be beyond the 10-foot line anywhere towards the end of the match. Handle illegal replacements if there are any, and hopefully that is your scorer. Most likely it's going to be your scorer's responsibility to let you know when there's an illegal replacement or an illegal substitution. They grant timeout, substitutions, and requests for serving order. So a coach, remember, can ask for a serving check. They can also ask for an alignment check, and so can the captain. Those are the 2 individuals that can ask, is the coach and the captain. Indicate a warning at 45 seconds with a double whistle, and then instruct, this is during a timeout, and then instruct you want an audio signal at 60 seconds or at the conclusion of the timeout when they're ready to play. Okay. And signal at the beginning of the completion of a charged timeout how many timeouts each team has used. So remember, if they've used 1 timeout and the other team has used none, this is what it's going to look like. So team on my left has used a timeout, team on my right has used none, and the referee, that's the R2, and then the referee will give that indication to the coaches for everybody to see, okay? 15th through 18th substitutions, your responsibility to notify the coach so they know that they're coming to the end of their substitutions. Check the score sheet for accuracy during each time out at the end of the set, which is I do. I will always go and look at least for the first several times if I have more confidence in my scorekeeper. I don't check every time, but you do want to keep tabs on making sure that the score sheet is in good condition. Over here it says initial the score sheet. We do not do that. We are not initialing the score sheet any longer. And let's see, intermission, how run the intermission. So indicate a warning at 2 minutes, 45 seconds between those 3 minutes so that we're getting the players out there ready to play at 3 minutes. If you're having issues with coaches for unsportsmanlike that maybe you're hearing as the R2, but the R1 is not, you need to communicate that with your R1. And let him know of any violations. And again, that's something that should be covered in your pregame. Okay, we talked about conducting the coin toss, and that is, I think, about all I have for tonight. So any questions on rules or anything we've gone over? Okay. All right. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning, we do have lots of summer tournaments / scrimmages coming up that you will be responsible. Marianne is going to be running the Westlake tournament, which is a varsity tournament. That again, Marianne, is the 28th through the 30th. Is that correct?
26th through the 29th.
Thank you. I knew I had it. Okay. So 26th to the 29th, Lakeview, that's a good level tournament. We will be using line judges. So newer and younger officials will be assigned line judging on that, which is a good skill to know. So you can learn, it's a good hands-on way to learn what the line judges are responsible for. And then we will also be using veteran referees as the R1 and the R2 in that tournament. We at the same time have an Oxnard tournament going on that Kathy is going to be in charge of. And that will be Kathy.
29th and the 30th.
Thank you. So 29th and 30th. So the 29th is a very busy day for us. We have 2 tournaments to cover, 2 large tournaments to cover. In August, we have several JV and freshman tournaments going on that we're going to have the newer officials working, and you're going to be working as the R1 and the R2 with veteran officials basically standing behind you, helping you to get your feet under you. And that is some invaluable.
August 7th at TO is where I would want my new people.
Okay. And we have some going on at Oxnard as well. And we'll get all those dates to you. And they were actually, I believe most of those dates were in my original email as well that I sent out. It had almost all those dates there. So you'll be getting those again.
If I could just interject.
That's all July.
The Oxnard tournament, I'll be sending out a memo for those officials that will either be assigned or wanting to work that tournament. That will be a more formal attire as far as a regular match, and we will be doing formal observations to update the association. So just a heads up.
Okay. And
Marty, I will send something out to everyone.
All right, any other questions before we finish?
Jeff, I have a question, and this might be for Tony or Roy or some of the more experienced officials or yourself. We always preach that our officials are team, and I just noticed that, I just wonder why when we do our pre-match with paid officials or playoff with paid officials, that the lines people are not really included in that pre-match.
I think they should be, Rich. I mean, when we do a college assignment, normally what we'll do is we'll get, when we have a college assignment, we'll have the lines people and both officials come together and have a discussion. And then at that point, usually then after that, then the R1 and the R2 will usually continue their conversation about how they want to handle things. But it is good to, if you do, especially if you have a paid group, bring everybody together, do a quick pregame with everyone, and then continue your pregame with just the R1 and the R2.
Right. I was speaking more of the, and I understand that. I was speaking more of the formal one at the court with the coaches and.
Yeah, that unfortunately that lies on the R1 to whether they're going to bring you in or not, Dick.
What is typical practice? I mean, and it doesn't matter to me, but I mean, if we keep
what we practice is bringing everybody in. Is what we practice. You'll get other places, other officials from other units that may not practice that.
Okay,
that's fine. Can I ask for kind of clarification, Dick? Are you talking about the captain's meeting with the captains and the coaches?
Yes. I know that we have a pre-match with all the officials off the court prior to the match, and I just wondered about the pre-match. Yes, the official one with the coaches and the captains. Just what's the reason? I just wondered.
I think it's just personal. It's really it's personal preference. I don't know if it's addressed in the officials manual or in the rule book that all 4 officials should be at the pre-match conference.
They're not doing that at college either, right? I mean, no. So it's just common practice then, because you have your pre-match prior to the game.
Tony, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, usually the pre-match with the captains and in high school with the coach as well is really just information for the participants. So when you have your pre-match with your officiating crew, that's where you talk about the things that you need from, you're asking your crew to look for. That's when you'll cover your ground rules with them if there's any that you need their help with. When you go to the captain's meeting, generally it's, coin toss and the logistics of the match. And a line judge generally doesn't need to be involved in that kind of information. There's nothing in the rulebook that says they shouldn't be there. So again, like Jeff was saying, it is up to the R1 if they want to include them in that meeting. But it has been, as far as I know, for the last many years I've been reffing, that the line judges do not participate in the captain's meeting.
Okay,
but they do participate. They do have a pre-match with the R1.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? So our next meeting is next Wednesday, same place, same time. All right, we are available by email or phone or text. Text or email is great for me if you have questions or concerns. And then I know Marianne, Robert, Kathy, Tony, all are available for questions by email as well if you need. So, okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, enjoy your week.
It's been charming.
I'll hang on for just a second or two if anybody needs to talk about or discuss anything. So.
Thanks, everybody. Great job.
Yes, Larry.
Okay.
Have a good one, y'all.
Okay, I have a question.
Bye, Kaz.
Larry?
A quick thing for the people, I mean, I'm speaking very generally. Kathy made the comment about the people should not be
who want it?
On the screen, but yet there were a bunch of people that their names are there.
Can't hear you, Jerry.
I'm sorry. It's my crummy speaker. I'm sorry. I'll try and yell. Kathy mentioned that she wanted the people should be present for the meeting, but you just see names and no faces, whether they're there or they're at the beach or they're watching the bowling for dollars. Okay.
Well, Jerry, I think with Zoom, if I turn my camera off, it's going to show my name and I can walk away and you would never know it. And I think that's why Kathy asked to make sure your camera stayed on so that they can see your face, so that you're actively participating and watching rather than just showing a name and walking away.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, anybody else have any questions? We good? thank you all for attending. I'm going to see you all next week. So
I'll call you in a minute.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to end.
Bye.
Bye, guys.